Hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel. I'm Christina. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to a Q&A with two former MLM leaders. This is, in a way, part two, but it's also its independent part of me reacting to a Q&A on a podcast I reacted to on Friday. If you want to see the reaction to the actual podcast, Social Selling, How to Run a Successful Team Meeting, then I will link it up here. The video from Friday, but those two videos are independent of each other. If there is information missing, then I will let you know what it is, but they should be independent of each other. So this is kind of a Q&A. Team members asking leaders in an MLM questions that they think is interesting, specifically how to run a successful team meeting. The person running the podcast and also running the team call is the host of this entire thing. And she was considered a leader in the MLM Cutco, where she was selling kitchen knives. She is also an MLM coach, and she was also involved in the multi-level marketing company Hugh and Grace. The person that is the guest speaker on this podcast, on this call, is her friend, and she was in the MLM Pampered Chef with over 600 people in her downline. And not too long ago, she went to a new MLM and has 60 people in her downline that she was able to recruit in 9 months. Unfortunately, we didn't hear why she left the other MLM and why she went to the new one. I think that would have been really interesting, but this is part two, but also its independent part. You can watch this independently of the other video, and if you're interested, then please keep watching. We're going to dive right into the Q&A from team members, how to run a successful team meeting.
So who has a question for Dawn? You are welcome to unmute. You don't have to just put it in the chat, or if you want to put it in the chat, let me actually also check the Facebook. So we do have some comments on Facebook as well. Sherry, I saw you unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Dawn. First of all, thank you so much. That was really outstanding. You put it in a neat little box. So my couple of questions are, one, how long are your team meetings?
Typically, I try to keep them at an hour. So it just depends. And of course, it depends on your team size. They have been longer before, but that's the goal, is to do everything in about an hour.
And for your Green by 15, are you doing that for the org? I mean, I do my leaders and then I do my personal team. I expect my leaders to do their personal team, but I don't think that always happens, even though that's what I'm trying to teach them to do. So just curious on that.
Yeah, so I've done it both ways, but as your organization grows, so when I had 650 people, I did stuff for my personal team, and then I did stuff for my leaders separately, but there were still times that I would put out an incentive for the entire organization. So, but it would have been a much bigger incentive and a much bigger challenge per se. Then like just being green by 15 or hitting a certain rank by 15 wouldn't be something that I would provide for the entire org. That would be something for my personal team. But if you wanted to do something bigger, like the June bug post, for example, for your entire org, where you were going to give away swag or something like that, then that could be something that you could do for the entire org. But the other would be for your personal team. Again, depends on your size.
Last question. So you have some really fun ideas, the June bug, the maniac, is that something that you just learned from being in the business, or do you have something you follow?
Nope, that's all just my own stuff. And stuff starts here and then I just write down things. And that's just also, again, years of experience. So things that I've done in the past that have worked, then, there's nothing wrong with revisiting that. So if you've been in the business for a long time, you could, and you haven't done the maniac or the June bug in a really long time, then you can pull that out of your back pocket. But if you're looking for fresh and new ideas, then I would get with like a mentor or, a coach or something, and just ask for some ideas, get with somebody that is a great leader who's done the thing, and find out. And I would be happy to share some things with you as well. So it comes with time. I do have a creative mind per se, but, I did it in the beginning. I had to learn it, right? And so just get creative and come up with things. And once they work, just know that, years down the road, because you're not going to have the same people, a couple of years from now necessarily participating in the same things.
The June bug and the maniac that the person was referring to were incentives put out by the person speaking. She had certain calls to action, or at least that's what you called them. Somebody was able to recruit somebody or to sell a product or to attend a certain meeting. They were supposed to give feedback in a Facebook group, and they were saying, hey, I'm a June bug. I did this and that. That is supposed to push engagement on the Facebook, on the team page, and really allow people to thrive more in the business. I don't really see how, because in my opinion, that's really not a call to action, but it is to keep people interested in the group. And let's speak about the sheer size of people that are on her team or that were on her team. She had over 600 people on her team in Pampered Chef, and now she has over 60 people on her team. It is just not possible to have a meeting with super engagement where everybody is super happy, where everybody is able to contribute something. It is just not possible because of the sheer size of people attending the meeting. If you have a meeting with 600 people or with 60 people, it is normal that the majority of people will simply have to listen. One person is in charge of the meeting, and then you have an agenda where other people are given certain spots within the meeting to contribute as well, whatever it is. Of course, it is not possible with 60 or 600 people for every person to contribute something. The majority of people with that size of a team will have to listen. I also don't disagree with a learn as you go along approach, adjust where necessary, yes. But I would argue if you worked for an actual reputable company, they would have actual useful resources and be able to teach you how to set up a good team meeting. And you would have a manager experienced enough to also guide you through that and also to teach you what to watch out for. Or you yourself, being a self-sufficient individual, could also reach out to people who you think are doing good team meetings and ask them those questions. At least that is what I would say is happening in an actual reputable company. In a corporate job, in an actual 9-to-5 job, because there you would have resources and the ability to learn and not to completely fail in a meeting or to just be thrown and pushed into something. Learn as you go along, but also watch out where you get your information from. In an MLM, reach out to a coach or to an upline or to an upline's upline. But that doesn't mean that these people, although they might be being praised within the company, are actually good at that. That is quite risky, and that could actually be your downfall in an MLM if you reach out to somebody who's considered a leader, but they don't have a lot of valuable information to give. And then I also thought that MLMs and MLM leaders, they have so much information. They have like the map and the road to success. They have a lot of scripts ready for you. They have an entire system set up for their teams that their teams then can duplicate. Why is that not the case in team meetings? Maybe because it is not possible to duplicate a leader's success. Because if that was truly the case and you actually had a roadmap to success, then you could just add how to lead a successful team meeting once you're at the stage when you have a team that you need to lead.
Good advice. Yeah, I would also say too, one thing for those of you in our community, you could always do we could always have a post where someone could say like, hey, I'm looking to do a fun incentive this month for my team. What are you doing? Right. And like use the community. There's all different companies, all different levels of leadership. I mean, literally, like we have people all the way from executive, top of the company in our community to like brand new. And so I think sometimes we, like you guys forget, right? Like use the community, like do a post in there if you're looking to do an incentive or something. Real quick, let me read the questions that I saw, and then we'll go to the next person who wants to unmute. Danielle Schaefer said, do you hold meetings in the daytime or night? So I'll let you answer that first.
Nighttime. So always in the evening. I've tried daytime meetings before and it just is not great participation. So I prefer to have them in the evening. But again, this would be where you know your team. So if the majority of your team are stay-at-home moms and daytime works best for them, and you can put out a poll, I've done that in the past. You can put out a poll in your team page, about what day of the week works best, things like that. But you have to kind of play around with it a little bit for your team and get to know them. And then once you do, and you start to have participation, then that's what you want to stick with.
Yeah. And one thing too, I think, like obviously I would be consistent around like the day and even the time, but you could do like an every other month even, where you do like, okay, January is like daytime at this time, like maybe you do them on a Monday at like noon. And then February is Monday at like, 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or whatever. And then just every other. So it's like still the same date and time, but like if you're like, my team is a variety, right? Like you could easily alternate that way too. You're not feeling like, maybe if you are like joining a bunch of other trainings in the evenings, like with your upline or something and you don't want your team to not show up, like maybe you offer a variety, like that's just another idea. But I would be consistent about, like she said, like when you're doing it.
And I don't just do team trainings, guys. I put out a training schedule for the entire month ahead of time. So there are other things. This is just what we're talking about today is team training, but I put out a training schedule for the month, usually about a week before the prior month ends. I'll put out the next month's training schedule.
That is all good information, but it is also super basic. First of all, we learn, yes, even as a leader, you have to cater to your team because if you work together with people who throughout the day are busy because they have an actual job and they're starting this MLM business on the side or they hope that they will be rich and successful, then yeah, you need to hold the meetings on the weekends, in the evenings, which is super great because that is when people are off their regular job and they have time to attend those meetings. If you primarily deal with people who either do not have a job or who work from home already, or stay-at-home parents, stay-at-home moms are a prime target, then you can also have those meetings throughout the day. But yeah, cater to your team. I don't want to shame anybody who asks these types of questions, but that is rather self-explanatory. But I guess it goes into the direction of this is a person that was really, really successful once, and now she's rebuilding in some other MLM, and she's also really successful. So give me the information I need. Tell me what you did. I will duplicate it and then I will be just as successful. But that's really not the case. I do have the impression that people in multi-level marketing companies do stop critical thinking rather quickly. And that is not to shame anybody who is in a multi-level marketing company. But yeah, you need to base what you're doing on the reality of your business and on your team. And this is a very, very basic example, of course, when to hold a team call, but isn't that self-explanatory? Take a look at the people that you recruited. Take a look at the people that you might want to recruit. You will have to cater to their timeline and then take it from there as your team adjusts, as your team changes, if you are able to recruit a team. And that also shows me that time freedom, is not really a thing in MLMs, not even for the leaders. If you have to cater to your team's needs, if you have to hold a call, although this is your full-time job at night, because the vast majority of people on your team only have time at night, where's the time freedom then? And if you have an actual job and you do this on the side, then where's the time freedom there? Also non-existent.
I love that. Cheryl Wyatt says on Facebook, I'm assuming you do not record the meeting and share it on your team group.
I do not. And everybody has their own opinion on this. Again, I mean, obviously, if you're paying for a service, like in this coaching program, they're going to be recorded, right? And you're going to go back but with team training, I have never recorded my meetings, and it's people when they miss it, they literally genuinely are like, oh, bummed that they missed it. And so it does create a better participation because they know if they missed it, then they missed out. Now, obviously, I'm, happy to do a recap with them or tell them what they missed or something like that personally, but they would have to reach out to me and ask me for that.
I love that. Yeah, she responded and said, that's what I thought. I love how you're creating FOMO. That's very wise. Yeah, I used to do that with like a director bound or whatever. It was like they had to be on their live to get access to the training because it shows a commitment. It's like you as the leader, the way I always justified it was I would say, I'm willing to invest my time and energy into preparing all of this for you and pouring into our, community and team as a whole. But like, you have to be willing to show up, right? And like receive that information and then take action on it.
Please stop pouring into people. That is actually gross. When it comes to recording, maybe a warning from somebody who works in the compliance field, be careful what calls you record. And not just because you don't want to be featured on an anti-MLM channel, like here, like this, stop it. But in general, also when you work for an actual reputable company, Be careful about that. Like she said, if you offer a service or if you offer a class, people pay for that. Yes, then offer the recording as well. Be careful because you don't want to share sensitive information that is super important, but also super critical for the business. I think there is a certain, at least in corporate jobs, there's a certain expectation that you will record every single call, but that can be quite damaging. That can be quite dangerous from a privacy point of view. Also being in discussion with the privacy teams, whatever job you work in, be careful about that. If you have actual factual information you want to pass on to your team or to other teams, and that is really valuable, I would say, of course, do it, go ahead. But if there is really sensitive information that is spread, maybe consider and don't record that. That is also something I do say more and more often in my actual job because I work in this field and say, let's be careful. Maybe let's not record this call. We can share all of the other information. We can send out an email, but we're going to discuss really sensitive topics, really sensitive information. Let's not record this. But if you are on a team call or on a call and you want to share actual valuable information, then to not record it and to create FOMO, in my opinion, is not cool. It's actually shitty because you kind of force people into a meeting, into a team call. And that is although they're running their own business, allegedly. And sometimes timing-wise, it simply doesn't work out. So there will always be people who won't be available throughout the day and people who will not be able in the afternoon or at night. And you might shoot yourself in your own foot because if you have valuable information to share, you want as many people to be able to participate in that. And you want as many people to get that information so that they can use that, do a better job at selling and recruiting. At least that would be my take on this. So why not share that? Because you want people to attend right then and there. I would assume probably because you don't have a lot of actual information to share. Then you would record that meeting and you would send it out. But if this is supposed to be more of a brainwashing session, then I guess it is successful and important for the people to actually join the meeting and you do not share a recording. I hope that makes sense because if you want to share valuable information for your team, that would actually help your team and therefore also yourself to do a better job at selling and at recruiting. You would harm your team and you would also harm yourself from withholding information. If it's just a brainwashing session, I get it. But if you have valuable information on how to sell, how to recruit, how to present yourself on social media, how to be more time efficient with various jobs and trying to pursue this, how to pitch better to people, then you would be at a loss to withhold that information from your team members. But I guess the team calls we're talking about here, they're actually about attendance because they're about brainwashing.
I love, and I know a lot of people love this too, when you said about the post and you're like, what was your biggest takeaway? That's like gold right there. That was worth the price of admission, as Judy Joel would say. Judy Joel, she would say that was worth the price of admission. Okay, Sarah says, what's your catchy name for July? She wants to know. She's like, tell me what she wants to know. A catchy name for July.
Well, I haven't really thought about because, I don't always do that. It could be something else. But I would say just off the top of my head right now is be a firework. Be a firework. So, and then you post, something and it's like, who's going to be a firework? Who's going to light it up? Something like that. And so that would be, just something that I would be thinking off the top of my head. So again, my mind really doesn't stop. Like I lay in bed at night and I'm constantly, if you can't tell, I love to teach and train and do the things, but my mind, literally, I'm like, what, that's good. And I'll like write that down.
Yeah.
It's
Crystal said the Katy Perry fireworks song too could like be how you introduce it on your team training.
Yes, so, exactly. Yes.
Bev says this training today is priceless. Don Pimbleton, priceless. So true. Jana Lee says, do you hold meetings at the beginning of the month?
Yes, I do it at the beginning of the month. I feel like, and again, there's other things that are going on, whether it's Monday Motivational or Power Hour or an opportunity event or something like that. There's always something that people can attend. But, team training is just that one big time where there's giveaways and all the extras and the recognition and things like that. And so that's why it's really important to push that, I tell people, if you can't attend anything else, you want to be on team training. So it's almost like you're really, you've got to sell it, just like you have to sell your, in business, you're all in sales. So you have to kind of sell it, but you've got to sell this to your team, because why do they want to show up, right? And what are they going to get out of it? What are they going to benefit from it? Is it going to be just business and boring, or is it going to be fun and valuable and inspirational? And they're going to walk away saying, that was so good. Like, I can't wait till next month. Right. Or I can't wait till the next meeting, or I can't wait till next week, or whatever you have going. It should be that good.
Yeah. So good. Sarah said, do you tell them ahead of time that it will not be recorded to create the FOMO?
Oh yeah. I mean, my team has always known that I do not record anything. The only time that I have recorded anything is when I've ran like leader retreats where I've had guest speakers, or there's been a charge like for people to attend, to save their spot, something like that. Otherwise, it is not going to be recorded, and they know that. So
in this section, she spoke about something that she mentioned in the podcast. Like I said, if you're interested in this, then you can watch the video from last Friday, which I linked up there and also down below if you want to watch it. But those are really, really very basic things, like the June bug with people commenting in a Facebook group because they achieved to do a sale, and because they were able to recruit somebody, or because they were able to join a certain meeting. So these are really, really basic information, basic things. Better than a lot of information I have heard on other MLM calls, but still very basic. The bar is rather low. And those things, in my opinion, are not necessarily earth-shaking, and they're not changing people's lives, and they're not that amazing, and they're not great. They're rather earth-shakingly simple.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Those were all the questions written. Who has a question? Bev, go ahead. I saw you unmuted.
Oh, am I? Okay. I was just going to ask the ladybug, the firecracker. Oh my God, I love that. Can't wait to use it tomorrow. I'm doing a thing because we're having a Canadian mini conference for Pampered Chef. We want it back here. So did you say that you do a draw at the end of the month for the ladybug?
yes. So they'll comment all month long, all the things that they have. So then on team training in July, right at the beginning of the month, then I'll do the drawing for that. And I'll do the drawing for them hitting the certain rank by the 15th and things like that. And I'll do those drawings on team training, but then I'll also do giveaways.
Okay.
So,
I have one more question and just advice. My team, I'm rebuilding, but it's very low attendance. The same 5 people are on every month. But I have teamed up with another director on our team to do joint team training. We do our uplines, which is Kathy Barber. So is that a good idea to do with somebody else? So because we're accountability partners, and she said her meetings are not good.
Yeah, I think it's fine as long as your accountability buddy is equal, or maybe even just a little, you want to be hanging out with people and doing business with people that challenge you and that are a positive, right? Yeah. So, I don't want to do meetings with someone who's like super struggling, and that may sound terrible, but I want to like push myself to find somebody that maybe even is just a little bit, to where I'm trying to catch up to them, because I'm trying to surround and I'm trying to create that culture for the team. And I want experts, I want people that are, so I think it's okay if you're on the same page and you're wanting to grow together. But I think at some point, just like, you do what you go to your meetings with your upline. That's great, but you're the leader. You've got to start creating at some point your own, right? Because you are the most influential person on the team. So to your team, you may think, oh, only 5 people, Bev, I hear it in your voice. You're like, we're trying to rebuild. Like, you might be thinking only 5 people, but Bev, let's change it and go, you know what? I had 5 people on.
Yeah.
And those 5 people are eager, and they want to learn, and they want to grow. And guess what? I'm going to get a guest speaker on. Yeah. And I'm going to research, and I'm going to hold the best darn meeting that I possibly can for those 5 people. Right. And when you start to believe it, and you start to get excited, and you truly believe that it is the best day of the month, and you have something to offer as a leader, because you're a great leader, Bev. See, then the team goes, you know what? We have the best leader. And it doesn't matter if there's 5 people on. Now they're like, Bev is my leader. And I love Bev, and she's great, and she's amazing. And I am so appreciative of all that Bev does for us.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's good
So
advice.
I love it. So I can't wait
Yeah.
to hear about your next meeting. That's going to
Yeah.
be fantastic. And the growth that you're going to have is just going to be phenomenal because it is important. It really is creating that culture.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This will help a lot. This was just amazing. I'm here writing. My hand is sore. And I'm writing. And I wish I remembered my shorthand. That's
Thank
dating
you.
myself. Thank
I'm
you very
so
much.
glad. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So good.
Everything is amazing and so good. MLM hunts are really easily excitable. I think that was a really good question. Hey, I am rebuilding my team and there's really low attendance in the team meetings. Rebuilding is probably reality in MLMs and also low attendance. I have been on a good amount of opportunity calls now, and many times there was only a handful of people. Even those that have thousands of followers on Instagram, hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, potentially just have a handful of people on an opportunity call. And I would say that is probably reality in most MLMs. Rebuilding in MLM means that you had a big team. The big team has crumbled and now you only have few people left on your team, or at least a lot less than you did before. And you have to rebuild this team, aka you have to start to recruit new people and take care that they also themselves recruit people into their team. So recruit people so that they can rank up, so that you can rank up again. And that just shows that MLMs, they're not sustainable. At some point, you might be able to build a big enough team to profit off of the efforts of those people. But if those people leave, then your paycheck also crumbles and you need to, quote unquote, rebuild. And this sounds like the exhausting daily reality in MLMs. Build and rebuild the people that have left. The other part that I heard from her that was really inspirational, I hear you're a little bit beaten down by this. You only have 5 people that attend those calls and you need to rebuild, but make this the best darn call ever. You have 5 people on your team that are interested. You have 5 people that are excited, that want to attend this meeting. You yourself just need to believe that this is sufficient. This is great right now, and you will take it from there. That is pretty much you brainwashing yourself into believing that it is great, that although that formerly maybe you had 50 people on your team, now you only have 5 who attend those meetings. Brainwash yourself into believing that your current situation is great, because otherwise you would very likely take a step back, consider and see, might be better for me to leave this business because something is wrong. This is not adding up. But I guess that is not something you can do in an MLM. The alternative would be to understand that you achieved a higher rank in an MLM. That is not sustainable. And you're in a hamster wheel and you have to do the same things over and over and over again. But the success you once had is very likely gone. And now you will have to operate on a lot lower level with less people, aka with less income. So brainwash yourself into believing that it's all good instead of accepting the reality. MLMs are not sustainable, and if you really considered and took a step back, then you would understand that you're in this go, 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 consistent hustle situation that is really, really damaging, when in reality you might have a way better solution if you left the MLM, if you left this business model and got an actual normal job that paid you a decent income.
So I guess we'll take like 1 or 2 other questions. Janalee says, this might be a silly question, but how do you play the music at the beginning of your meeting?
That's a good question. So I do.
Yeah, it's not a silly question.
I'm not going to say the word because she's going to come on. A-L, you know who I'm talking about, right? A-L-E-X-A, right? So if I say it, she's going to come on. So I just use that. And then what I found is if you have it set to mute everyone as they come in, it's better. Because if you don't, what happens is it cuts in and out. Okay. So I just play that. And then when that song ends, because I just play one song. When the song ends, we're ready. Hey, everybody. So happy that you're here. Welcome. We're so excited. Wow. We have a great evening planned, And so it's just, you go right into the excitement of the meeting. And if you can't tell, I get excited about it because it really can be life-changing for you and your business, but it can be life-changing for you as a leader when you start to see people show up and invest in themselves and get excited about the meeting, and you start to see the growth. It makes it all worth it. I always say on the day of team training, guys, and this may seem excessive to you guys, but I promise you it works. On the day of team training, that's your full-time job. Preparing for that meeting. Again,
You don't get paid for
you
that
don't just
meeting.
show up and you're like, well, no, we're here. Like, I don't have anything really, right? So you're going to do the thing. And so that's your full-time job that day, is to prepare, to build excitement, to hold that meeting, and then to go in and thank everyone and find out what their takeaway was.
If it's your full-time job, you would actually get paid for that. So you will be busy for an entire day to set up a team call that might or might not pay off. So great way to not make money, but to be really, really busy. Yet again, so much to time freedom.
I love that. Yeah. So Janalee, the other way also, if you don't have an Alexa or one of those devices, is on your computer. You can go to, of course, YouTube, find the song, make sure to skip the ad before you do it. Cause I've done it before where I like hit play and then an ad pops up and I was like, just ruined the intro. But no, and then when you go to share your screen on Zoom, you have to hit, there's like a teeny little thing at the bottom where it says share computer sound. So you'll check that box. And then when you hit to share your screen, even if you don't have a presentation on Canva or whatever, you still have to, share your screen in order for it to share the sound on Zoom. So that's another option as well. Okay, so one final question. I'll ask this one because I think there might be some people listening to this. I know we have some quite a few experts or some people who have been seasoned, I guess I should say seasoned leaders on here who are still taking away so much value. But let's chat. I want your opinion first for the person who is like maybe a newer leader, or not even that, but maybe they just don't feel like they have like a big team. And so they've never really done many team trainings, right? And so maybe after hearing this, they're like excited, but a little bit like paralyzed, right? That feeling of like, I know I need to do this, but like, what do I do first? So what would you say to that person?
Yeah. So that's a great question because, there are oftentimes, we've all been there if we've had a meeting before or we've started. And I go back and I think about my very first team meeting. Okay. I was a brand new director with Pampered Chef, and I had never done anything like this before. And back then we did, a lot of cooking shows. And so a lot of my team was local. And I'll never forget, I think at the time I had 13 people on my team. And 12 of them showed up in person for the first team training. And so how did I do that? Right. And so I look back, and some of the things is one, I sent personal invitations. So back then I mailed them, right? I mailed them to them, and I sent personal invitations. I would text them and say, hey, so excited, can't wait. I'm doing some giveaways, this and that. So again, building excitement, personally reaching out is so important. And even if you're like, I don't even know what the heck I'm doing, but I'm just going to do it. I promise you, doing something is better than doing nothing. And then when you hold the meeting afterwards, if you're like, you know what, I could have done this better, or, I wish I would have done, you just journal that. Okay. You just take notes. I call it an after action. So an after action review is really, really good for lots of things. I do that when I run boot camps or retreats or things like that too. I'll say, I want feedback and I want to know, what went good and what didn't go good. Right. But here's the thing. If you don't ever hold one, you're never going to know. It's kind of like when you were recruited into the business, you kind of took a leap of faith, right? You took a risk, you jumped in and you were like, I don't know if this is going to work or not work. And you're a little bit scared, but you're a little bit excited. And it's the same with your leadership skills. Like you're never going to become a great leader. Like, and we say all the time, like anybody can promote or hold a title, but it takes work to become a leader. Right. And it takes even more work to become an institutional leader. So I would say just do it, build the excitement, do the invites, hold the best darn meeting if only 2 people show up. And talk about how great of a meeting it was and give a shout out to the 2 people who showed up. And ask about their takeaway. So same exact concept, whether it is a large meeting, you've done it 100 times. You still have to get excited, guys, if it's your 100th meeting or if it's your first.
Yeah.
If you're not excited, the team won't be excited, people won't want to show up, and your culture then will be in jeopardy. And we don't want that to happen, right? So, but I promise you, I'm sorry I didn't see the name, but you are going to do great. Just create the desire, do it. And again, maybe get a guest speaker on, the first time. Maybe that will build excitement enough for people to show up. But it'll be awesome.
So good. You guys, I think we can all agree that this was incredible. So let's give Dawn some virtual love, maybe send her a message afterwards, tell her you appreciate her. Comment below. Dawn, thank you so much. This was incredible. I'm already I'm going to have to repurpose this on my podcast because I was just thinking how good this was. I was like, more people need to hear this. But just thank you. This was really incredible. And just this, we can see your passion for this industry and helping others. And obviously the success that you've had, it shows, right? And just the servant heart that you have. It's just, I really appreciate you. And I know everyone in here, everyone's like, thank you, thank you, thank you. This was amazing. This was great. So amazing. Lots of love coming through. So thank you again. We appreciate you. And so guys, we'll see everyone on Thursday. Any last words, Dawn, before we go?
It was just my pleasure. And I can't wait to hear how all of your meetings go and how you implement some of the ideas. And I know it's going to be great. So thanks. And thanks, Becky, so much for having me again. I really appreciate it anytime.
Awesome. All right. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
I will not play the outro because I'm not sure if there's copyright on the music, so I'm not doing that. I also cut out the intro when I reacted to the actual podcast. But that was the Q&A section, and everything was amazing and great and wonderful. When in reality, it was okay for MLM levels. Mediocre, you could say, in the real world, but it always has to be presented as amazing. It was not. If you have watched some team calls on anti-MLM channels, you might have realized that the creator said, okay, now they're playing music, or on power hours, for example, I have to mute this now for copyright reasons. So those are practical questions. They're in a way good, but also this is kindergarten level. I want to have my own meeting. I want to have my own team call. How do I play music in the beginning? You cannot figure that out yourself as a self-sufficient grown adult. You're not able to do that. You have to ask a leader or somebody who is considered a leader to do so. Just figure it out yourself. Practice offline when you're not on an actual team call, and you will figure it out. And I think we have seen a lot of kindergarten questions in this Q&A and a lot of kindergarten information in the video I reacted to before, because you don't have to have a professional background. You don't have to have a professional sales background. Anybody and everybody can join an MLM. And if you have to reach out to your leaders and to your teammates to get that type of information, I am not surprised that MLM people are really, really crappy many times at leading team calls, at being on opportunity calls, being on their own team calls, attending those as guest speakers, because the information that is being spread on these calls by these leaders, by these uplines, is for the best part mediocre and really horrible and really bad if it's going not so well for you. If you have to put that much effort into creating your own team meeting to invite a handful of people to join, send personal information, invest a lot of energy to do so, potentially also invest a lot of time to do so, and then set up a personal relationship with these people to hold them on your team, that sounds exhausting. A lot of people in MLMs have burnout or had burnout, have left the MLM and then spoke about their experience. That is a burnout in the making if you have to put that much effort into a basic team meeting just so that it's considered successful, aka just so that a handful of people will actually join you. What I gather also from this Q&A is that a successful team meeting in an MLM is really measured by its attendance. So is probably an opportunity call. Make the people attend and then take it from there. It's not so much about the results of a team call. It's not so much about the results of the actual information that is being spread, but have the people attend so that they can be brainwashed into staying longer. It is not so much about the actual outcome. What is the actual information you got out of this team call? What is the practical information you can use to further your business? Why am I doing this with to further your business when you are in an MLM. It's not so much about the outcome, but the attendance. And then to finish this off, MLMs are not about helping others. And the person just speaking also doesn't have a servant's heart. She can be a lovely person. I do not know this person. I do not know any of these people personally. I'm not talking about them on a personal level, but what they say and how they act on a public platform, in this case on a podcast. You're not helping others when you recruit them into an MLM, and you don't have a servant's heart when you do so. In this case, she was invited on what seems to be an MLM coaching call. So she's going to speak there. Maybe she's getting paid for this. Maybe it's quid pro quo, and the other person will speak for her team or on her coaching business at some point. When you join a multi-level marketing company, you don't have a servant's heart. You're there to recruit people so that you yourself are able to make money. And since you joined a multi-level marketing company, the actual money, the more substantial income lies in recruitment and not in sales. So you need to recruit a lot of people so that you can benefit off of their efforts. And then from the people you recruited, some also need to do well, hit certain requirements, hit certain ranks so that you yourself can be more successful and rank up. That is not helping others. That is not a servant's heart. That is you helping yourself. So no, you're not a charitable person because you join an MLM. You're actually looking out for your own paycheck. And that was the Q&A with two top leaders, or in this case specifically, one leader teaching us how to have a successful team meeting. I don't know. What did you think about this? Do you hold actual team meetings? I do in my regular job, and this information was really not that good for it. But I guess that is because I work in an actual industry, in an actual job, where the exchange of information is valid and not just the attendance. If you like these types of videos, then please consider subscribing. If you like this specific one, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to let me know something, please feel free to do so in the comment section down below. And if you like these types of videos, then hopefully I will see you in my next one. Until then, tschüss!